Dimitrios.
Thank you. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to the February meeting for DSATS board and officers. First meeting of the year like this. We had one in January with the community. We're going to review that in a later slide. So this is the agenda for today. The first part, we're going to go through the section updates, membership trends, the finances, annual election cycle, etc. Then the second part will be the update on the subcommittee work, the activities. For today, we have DWIS and Drillbotics. And then the last part will be the upcoming events and most important, the symposium that is less than a month away. We're going to discuss the details. So I don't think we're going to go past 9:30, but we'll see. So this is how the numbers look starting 2024. The drop down here is because we only have 1 month, so it doesn't mean much really. It's more important to see the numbers at the bottom, and that shows a good trend, still higher than last year, both for the professional members as well as for the student members, which is a good trend. It has been consistent the last couple of years, and hopefully we keep it that way. This graph here is only one bar, but it shows how many student members are converting to professional members. And what we had last, I mean, it shows monthly, not the last 20 months, only monthly for the calendar year. So that's why it's very basic like this. But nevertheless, it relates, you know, how this graph here basically slowly moves into the professional. And since we have this healthy trend, let's say, on student membership, hopefully we pass that on to the professional members the next few years, you know. So all that is good. However, there is always space for improvement in terms of, you know, how many people we can bring in and how the people that are members, how they engage in the activities of the section. And there, I think the last few months, we see a little bit of loosening, you know. We don't have as many people participate in the robotics as judges, in the activities, the WIS, etc., you know, the VNV. So we need to do something there to engage the people more, but we'll get to that. On the next graph, I thought something interesting here, so that's why I put both of them. The one on the left is how the numbers looked at the end of the year by region. And the one on the right is the first month now, month and a half, whatever it is, for 2024. What I found interesting is that there is some swap in the positions. On the left side, the biggest section here was Middle East and North Africa, the blue. On the right side, that section became the second, the green bar, the green slice over here. And what was Gulf Coast, North America, here became the top one. I'm not sure exactly what that means. Are members of one section more likely to renew their membership, and the other section hasn't renewed yet? And the same thing happens for positions 3 and 4. Africa and North Sea, here, these two, they have swapped here for some reason. I'm not sure exactly now, again, like I said, how to explain it, or if it's going to reverse itself going forward, but it was worth noticing, I think. The bottom chart shows by country, members by country. And here it's interesting that the United States has almost 600 people, by far the most by any other country. And somehow this is consistent with Middle East and North Africa having, you know, almost the same number of members as Gulf Coast. So there are many countries, I suppose, that contribute to those to the regions. But that's the latest information out of the SPE membership numbers. We need to keep pushing to keep the trends in the right direction. So that's pretty much it, the update for the statistics here. The next one, second one, two slides, Robert prepared for the finances. So Robert, please take it over from here.
Yes, you bet. I would draw your attention to the table on the right. We had two sources for cash in. One was a Baker Hughes sponsorship for the Drillbotics, and one was the reimbursement from SPE for the ATC symposium that hit the DSATS account and the Drillbotics account. We had anticipated outflows for Drillbotics, mainly associated with the travel of the Drillbotics team to IADC. And then we had outflows from the DSATS account related to Fred Florence's retirement, and that those manifest in some reductions in the overall balance for the main account. Well, I'm sorry, it's in addition to the main account because of the reimbursement and a reduction in Drillbotics as expected. As far as commitments planned, we still have a Drillbotics documentary, some registration fees to cover, and I didn't put a bullet point here, but there are some booth expenses I need to reimburse Fred for the Drillbotics. So mainly commitments for the Drillbotics account at this stage. And this is the update over the last 2 months.
Yeah. Just if I may, Robert, John McPherson is still trying to work out the PayPal, how to close
Yes.
the PayPal account. Yeah.
Excellent
Right.
point. Yeah, go ahead.
The account's frozen at the moment, and I've talked to a lot of PayPal bots, and the final bot decided that I have to speak to a human agent.
So a human bot.
So it's ongoing. I'll sort it out and get it unfrozen. I'll try and sort out some time next week.
The idea is to take that PayPal money and transfer it back to Drillbotics, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. The account is I checked the account data on the bank link on PayPal. It's all correct. So it'll be quite quick once they unfreeze it.
Excellent. Very good.
Thank you.
That was it for the finances. Any questions from anybody? Okay. All right. So let's move to the next item, which is the annual election cycle. So the symposium is on March 4. The Constitution says that we have to publish the nominations 45 days ahead of the symposium, open a period for feedback and additional nominations, which should freeze around 30 days before the symposium. And that list goes up for approval at the meeting itself. Now, we are already within the last 30 days. We haven't sent out to the membership yet a list of nominations, primarily because we didn't have a nominating committee. But we did have a few people that came forward and expressed interest to participate. Most of them self-nominations, but I asked the secondment as required, and we did get the secondment, except for one here for Eric, which I solicited. I asked Eric and Serafima if we can make this assignment. So that's where we stand today. The table, you can see here the openings that are coming up, who are the incumbents, why we have openings, and what people are coming in. So mixed picture overall. The biggest gap, I think, is that we have 2 board positions coming open because of the term limits that we have, So we need to find people to go back to the full board. On the chair for Europe, Serafima has taken a few months off, but she's coming back. Eric kindly agreed to help during this transition and have also some continuity as we go forward. So I think we are in good shape there in Europe. The main task is the next symposium in 2025, which is going to be in Stavanger. So that's the, let's say, coming up, the work that is coming up. Other than this, I think we are good representation from Europe. For North America, Austin had a new role. He assumed a new role in Neighbors, and he will not be able to continue for one more year. But Deep agreed or expressed interest himself to step into that role. And that's important because the ATC is coming up in October, and we need to have someone there to help organize the special session if we're going to have another reception again, etc. So it's important for that position not to stay open. However, that creates an opening for the membership chair that Deep fills today. And we need to find someone who will be in charge of the webinars and symposium, the SPE lives and track the membership, etc. So that's open. And we had the last position over there. This gentleman, he reached out to me through LinkedIn, and he's interested to take on that role, which is good. We have, as you saw in the list, the numbers of members of the membership, we have increasing membership in the emerging economies, emerging countries, and pretty much flat, in more established sections. So it's good to see if we can have any traction in the Australia, New Zealand, that part of the world there. And in Africa, where we have several members there, still we don't have a representative. And we can always fill those positions during the year. It doesn't necessarily have to be during the annual cycle, but we need to get people engaged, like I was saying at the beginning. So we have some work to do here. Any thoughts or comments or suggestions from anybody about this?
Just one point to note is that you've written Chair Europe, Chair North America, etc. Those are actually program chairs.
Program chairs, yes. I need to change the title on the left side. Okay.
Yeah, because they're focused on events like you talked about the next one in Europe at the drilling conference.
Yeah, program chairs. Okay. Any other thoughts or comments? The having a deputy is not a new thing. We do have a couple of positions, officers that have deputies. One is the university relations with Roman and Enrique, and the other one was the Asia chair, where two candidates came forward last year, if you remember. And in order to avoid having a contest in the election, they agreed that one is going to be the chair, the other one is going to be the deputy chair, and we accepted that, through the nominating committee. So that's not a first that this happens. And beyond that, Eric is one of the most active, if not the most active member in DSATS, contributing technically, etc., publishing. So it could be a miss if Eric was not here in the offices. So that's all really on this slide. Unless there are any other comments, we can continue. All right, let's move on. Now,
can we, I know
Yes.
Austin is stepping down as chair of North America due to work and time commitments, but in terms of continuity,
yeah,
maybe Austin might consider moving to a role on the board now, since he knows how everything works, and he knows all the various parties. And I, please don't take this the wrong way, but it's probably a lot less time commitment for him and more manageable based on that change in role.
Yeah, I think someone had mentioned that, and I believe Austin was open to that possibility.
Okay.
Okay, and Mark here, can I piggyback on that?
Yes, of course.
I believe that the program chairs are sort of the most important thing that we do, because that's where we engage our members directly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, to be honest, this last couple of months was just really, I feel like I didn't do as much as I should have or could have done for the program chair. I feel like the one in October, I was able to dedicate a lot of time to it. But like Q4 and Q1, that a lot of I'm sure everybody's job is a pretty terrible time, budget, blah, blah, plus personal life stuff. So, 3 little kids. And anyway, that's why I felt like I needed to step down. It's too much. And I don't think I did as much as somebody could have or should have. But if the board is not as I guess challenging on the time commitment side, I do like to help out, and regardless, I'm going to stay involved from a membership perspective. But
give it some thought and let us know, I say. Just don't take too long. But yeah, look, program chair, as Mark says, is the most important roles we probably have, and the by far the most amount of work.
Yeah.
Board, in my opinion, is about oversight, guidance, voting, and continuity, right?
Yeah.
So I think my experience, Austin, is those that know from the past. I stepped aside as chair because of time commitments, and I found when I was moved to the board, it was much more manageable. My 2 cents.
We make Austin the nominating committee chair for next year.
Yeah, no. Forgot about how much work that is. Yeah.
All right, very good. Thank you, Austin. Thank you, guys. Let's continue here. So we have 2 updates. One for DWIS and one for the drill bodies. Let's start with DWIS. So we have the work streams we started with, 4 last year, a couple of years ago. So the 2 that Eric is leading, they continue with the participation, regular meetings, etc. The other 2, we have a little bit of a transition. Clint stepped aside, as you remember. So we had a gentleman I approached a gentleman from Neighbors who had given a webinar. He agreed to join. We had a call with Clint for the handover. And in that call, he informed us that he couldn't go ahead with the role because due to the reorganization that happened in Neighbors, he was not in that same position on the Smart ROS anymore. He took a different assignment, and he had a different name to suggest. And that's where we stand right now to get the new guy, basically, to sit down with Clint and see if we can make the case for him to join. I still think that it's important to have someone from a contractor participate in that work stream that has hands-on experience on ADCS development and bring that perspective in. So it's still work in progress. That that means that it hasn't really been very active as a work stream. No regular calls, etc. That work somehow it's a little bit, that gap is filled by the other work streams. The second work stream, the one that Mark Carrier was leading, Loic has taken over from SLB, and Loic is, it's his day job really doing this work. He's working on some of the interfaces that we have identified for the demo and NORS and through the work in the drilling process protection, etc. However, the participation there also has weakened the last few months. We used to have, I don't know, 7, 8, 10 people in the calls. Now we have maybe 3, 4, etc. And it's the same symptom that we see everywhere. You know, all the work streams in drillbotics, for some. I mean, one reason obviously is that people are busy and they don't have spare time to dedicate. But that always is the case. People have been busy all the time. So we need to do something to make this work interesting and engage the people again, like I was saying earlier. So Loic is active. He has meetings every 2 weeks. He's documenting the meetings, etc. We just need to make sure that what we do is relevant and people are encouraged by their companies also to participate. And that's where that is. The other two work streams, like I mentioned, the real-time semantics and the drilling process protection are having regular meetings, thanks to Eric. And here in this slide, which I borrow from Eric, really the graphic, is an outline of the next demo that we're planning for September again. Let me try to outline here what it is, and Eric can add. So the first demo we did last year, the objective was to show that different advisors can coexist and produce data and consume data from each other live, plug and play, so to speak. And that was a successful demo. There was the DD Hub as the blackboard in the middle, where it could accept all these sources of data and make them available to everybody else. And that worked. And if you remember, the objective was to go through a transition, hit a stringer and see how the system adjusts, which advisors come in, which advisors come out, what recommendations are being adopted going forward, etc. And all that worked fine. So now, for the next year, we're going one step further. And one step further means that you can have the same advisor be able to talk to 2 different ADCS systems, which is really what interoperability is about. Instead of having 5 different versions of the advisor, because every time you talk to a different ADCS system, we want through DWIS to somehow standardize the protocols and the interfaces, etc. So the same advisor, you will be able to take it from one rig to the next rig, and without knowing what ADCS system is behind, it will be able to function and provide its recommendations. So as you can see here on the graph, there are the different advisors here, advisor number 1, number 2, number N, etc., that they provide their data to DD Hub, and then from there are what we call bridges or ADCS interfaces that can talk to ADCS number 1 or ADCS number 2 or ADCS whatever. And from there down, you drive, the rig equipment. So there's from this point down, every ADCS uses their own interface, their own API. From this point up, we're using the DWIS interface, and that's where Loic's work come in to complement what Eric is doing. Of course, there are many other pieces that come into the big picture. There is a composer where you combine potentially the advice or recommendations from different advisors. You can have a scheduler, planner, how to sequence the machines. A big one is a drilling process state, where you monitor all the data coming in from everywhere, and you decide what's happening, what is the state of the rig. You have a logging function where you track events, changes, etc., for traceability and accountability reasons. So it's a pretty ambitious goal for this next demo, but it's real. I mean, it's very substantial step towards interoperability. So it's a few months out. There is, it's like, I don't know, 6, 7 months out, but the amount of work that has to be done is significant. So it's we're gonna keep seeing this, for the next few months, and hopefully Eric and Benoit and the team, that they are able to progress as planned here, because in my view, this is really a big step. And of course, it would be great to have actual ADCS vendors involved in this. I think Eric has 2 that he's working with, but we need to have more. This is an industry effort, really. It's not an individual company. So I'll stop here, and let's, Eric, I don't know if you want to add something, or if anybody has any questions or comments about what I just said.
I think you summarized very well. I can just say that I've contacted one of those ADCS vendor. I've made a proposal about how the bridge could look like, and one of their constraints was to protect their own API for their ADCS. And I tried to put a proposal which is really protecting their API, and they are still 2 weeks before they can respond, and hope they will be positive. So we'll see.
Okay.
Also, the contextual data. Also, there is a work stream that is led both by Serafima and by John, and it's also quite an important work stream also, which is going on at the moment. So,
yeah. Thank you for correcting me. Yeah, there is an additional work stream. Yes.
Yeah, and I can also just say that there are several ADCS vendors who have mentioned that they would like to participate to the demonstration, which is quite nice also, because then we can have even better testing of the integration of multiple vendors in this infrastructure. Because I think having one advisor or one company from the advisor side communicating with one ADCS in a way is something which is demonstrated several places in real life. The real complexity is to have several companies on the advisor side and being able to communicate with different ADCS and not having to change anything. So.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea how this effort started, there is a hidden cost maintaining and setting up and commissioning and testing and verifying different versions of the software depending on what rig you are going to. This creates inefficiency and lost time and lost money for the industry. So if we manage to somehow reduce that through interoperability, then we all realize that there is no magic bullet. If you manage to keep only one version of the advisor, then you have the bridges that you have to maintain. But the question is, can we make this whole process a little bit more efficient, a little bit faster, so we don't have to verify every single time that someone changes something anywhere in that picture? Again, this is an ambitious goal, but it's a worthy goal, in my opinion, to improve the overall efficiency of the industry upstream, Any other questions or comments from anyone? Very quiet group today, guys. Okay. All right, fine. Let's move to the next topic. The next topic is Drillbotics. So Sasi couldn't make it, unfortunately, today, but we have Fred. So you can see here the bullets, where we stand. I'm sure Fred can provide some more details here. So we have 7 reports, phase 1 reports from the universities, 4 and 3 for groups A and B. The judges currently are reviewing this information, trying to identify, the quality, I guess, of the work done and who moved forward. For this year, we will be able to complete the competition for this year, 23-24. But from next year forward, we need support, financial support, and time from people to continue. Otherwise, Drillbotics may have to change direction. Maybe do something with geothermal, maybe try to get funds from the DOE. We're looking at different options, but the way it has been running, historically, we can't continue without support. And on the documentary side, David Gibson and his team are still in the final stages of production for the documentary. That's the latest, at least, that I am aware of. Fred, do you want to add something?
Yes, I do. The judges met last week, and we decided that all 7 of the teams would advance. We saw 2 or 3 of the 7 that were outstanding, and some of the others were struggling. But that's part of the game, is to struggle. So that's okay. Eric and Benoit held a webinar to teach the virtual grid people how to plug into Norris's Open Lab system. We have 1 sponsor. Thank you, John Mack, for getting some money from Baker Hughes. So we have $1,000 total for next year.
So everybody has to step up, huh?
Yeah.
I'm ready to do a GoFundMe campaign. I don't know how many hundreds of people are members of DSATS. They all gave us $50 or $20 or whatever they could afford. It would make a big difference. Well, when I read yesterday about how many billions of dollars of profits the most recent earnings reports came out, I'm wondering why the oil companies aren't playing the game. So sorry to sound so cynical, but this program is going to end unless something happens. And everybody talks to me about how much they appreciate what the students are doing. We're hiring them, but we're not going to fund their future education. That's bad. So get off your butt and help me find some money. That's my cynicism for the day. I've been working on making a manual for the website. Didn't realize really how complicated it was, but there's lots of plugins and lots of back-end gadgets. And I'm doing 2 of those, one for Enrique and one for Dimitri, who's going to take over the DWIS group. So the two websites are being handed over, and they're starting to pick up the slack. It's looking good. And I just wanted to add one more thing. Thank you very much for having a dinner in Houston last month. And I appreciate very much what you've done. I appreciate those who showed up, and I appreciate those who were traveling and sent some comments in by email. And thank you very much, everybody.
You'll be missed, Fred. And I'm really, really sorry I couldn't make that dinner. Bloody, this industry screws up everything every time, but you will be missed.
Well, bad news, and now I've got all these projects around the house and no excuse for not doing them.
You can always come back here, Fred.
Once a month. Okay.
All right.
Very good. Just a comment to add on the end of what Fred said was we did meet with the US DOE. We've already had a meeting with them, and they promised to come back in a couple of weeks. Actually, I should probably drop them a reminder note next week. But Fred, I think that went quite well. It's quite positive.
Yeah, they very much like the program. They're just trying to figure out how they can legally fund it, and then what will be the challenge for the team.
That's excellent.
And I've been working with Robin's group, and he asked for what are we doing to educate the industry and people outside the industry. I had sat down, started to write a very simple, but it became kind of an in-depth description of what these students learn. Maybe I can get that posted on DSATS or something.
The website, yeah.
It's phenomenal what these students are producing. And there's a couple of them that I've encouraged to join DWIS because what they're doing is at the same level as what the current DWIS members are doing.
That's good. That's excellent. Here in Norway, Fred, where are these guys?
Say that again, I didn't hear you.
Where are the two guys that you encouraged to join DWIS?
From Germany.
Oh, in Germany. Okay. Okay.
They got it. This last report that we saw, they did a good job previously, but this year they've upgraded their control system. They've gotten a controls engineering student that's on their team, and microservices and all the rest of it that we've been talking about. They're doing it.
Eric?
Just want to say that I have been in contact with them. So I have had a Teams meeting with the team from Clostal, and they are quite geared actually excited actually to try to participate to the Davis and to try to make their rig Davis compatible. So that is quite interesting.
One thing more to add, Sella Drilling has always been a great supporter of robotics, and they've had a number of teams that have been able to present their work there in Sella. And there's a call for papers that's open. If you don't know, maybe we can get that added to the minutes later or something. But you can look up for Sella Drilling 24, and it's a conference in September in Sella, Germany. And you don't have to write a paper. You just make a nice presentation, and you get your work noticed by a lot of people, particularly those who are involved in land drilling throughout Europe.
Very good. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Fred. All right, so let's move on to the next topic, the next section rather, which is upcoming events. So before we go to the symposium, let's spend a minute to see, webinars, etc., coming up. Last month, during the community call that we had Wayne Henderson give a presentation there about a STAMP methodology, which is a systems methodology, how to identify failures and how to, from the design stage, and how to prevent them and do the analysis, etc. I think it went well. Wayne has been consistent participating in the verification and validation group with Rodica, and we just need to expand that effort, add people there as well, and bring in SMEs that have experience in other areas, maybe not necessarily drilling, and learn from them and see what others are doing. So yesterday we had another call again on that VNV group. There is a paper, of course, that John DeWard and the team are publishing on autonomy in this coming conference. So there is some activity going on in that front. We just need to expand. Going forward, there is an SPE live in a couple of weeks where Rodica is going to sit down with Deep and have a discussion about AI and drilling. It's a very big topic, very general topic, but to show that what's going on in the area and try to attract, if you want, more participation from the community, from the membership. Of course, we have the symposium in Galveston, March 4th. We're going to get to that in a slide, next slide. And after that, we have 2 more spots for the year from SPE, webinars through SPE. One is on March 15, and Baker has taken that spot. They're going to talk about automated geosteering. Thanks to John, who organized this. Matt is going to give the presentation. I think that's going to be very, very interesting. The next one is in October. It's open at this point. We haven't filled that spot. There are some possibilities from Sassy and Halliburton, etc., but it's still open for now. And of course, we have all the community calls where each one of them is an opportunity for someone to come in and speak and share with the members what they are doing, what they have achieved, what they have learned, etc. So that's a standing invitation. And as we get people volunteer, they're going to be added here in the list. So these are the activities, if you want, educational, you can call them, or knowledge sharing, or what we do, to engage more people. Let's go to the symposium. So that's pretty much the same slide from last one. There's a few updates. Austin has been pushing to try to complete this. Austin, why don't you give us the latest, please?
Yeah, so met yesterday with some of the coordinating team there and for the event in Galveston. So far, we have 45 people that have registered for the event. Obviously, we're targeting to get somewhere around the 100 mark. I think historically that's where that event has been, and we've got about a month to do that. So the most important ask I have for the group is, posting on LinkedIn. I think that's really one of the things that I think probably gets most people attention is you all that have a pretty good following. If y'all are posting that y'all are attending, I think that certainly helps. The description is on the website. We'll be making final catering orders the week before. So I'll have an update to, how many people will be attending, 1 week before the event. I'll be able to order, the right quantity of refreshments, coffee, beer, and appetizers for the reception portion. One of the speakers that we had lined up was working for ICD. They're for those of you that are not familiar with them, they're a medium-sized contractor who had really started to deploy automation this last year. Unfortunately, the speaker who had agreed to do it was let go, last week. So I'm debating on adding I'm trying to find another medium-sized contractor to join the conversation, because I think that would be a nice addition to the group. But H&P will have representation. We have actually Maury, you're on the call. So for those of you that don't know, Maury is going to be one of the panelists as well. So we have representation from Schlumberger, Halliburton, H&P, and then I'm trying to get somebody else from ICD to either agree to participate or identify another medium-sized contractor. I have somebody.
What about Mark? Mark's on the call, and Mark's always very good in these kind of situations, and represents Enzyme. So,
Mark.
Yeah, I'm here. I'll be happy to consider it. We'll talk offline.
I think that's the most we could ask for after I completely chucked you under the bus there, Mark.
Well, you're going to be on the panel with me, so
I already have the tire, Mark. So you're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any update from the Conoco?
Yeah, so H&P, has said that that Conoco has expressed interest and that they should they will have somebody from the South Texas group. I haven't actually I don't have a name yet, so until I have a name, to me that's not a firm. And then I'm meeting with the candidate from Exxon on Friday, and he's not said no, so that's good. And he's participated in previous events. So I think between either from an operator perspective, I think we'll either have the Conoco person from South Texas who's deployed a lot of the automation from H&P and from Neighbors actually, and then or somebody from Exxon, and again, he runs their real-time remote center. They're doing a lot of impressive stuff there now. I think he would be a great panelist. So hopefully our meeting on Friday, I can convince him to do it. He's like I said, he's not said no, and he's I think he wants to help out. So
just a quick suggestion. Maybe I should make it when we talk, Austin. But something we did previously, I think, could work quite well. Is like a retrospective. Where were we this time, sort of 3 years ago? And then some of the discussion can be around. So, what's changed in those 3 years? What progress have we made? What has changed in our minds about what we need? And I think it would stimulate a lot of really good conversation, because I do believe that in the last 3 years a lot has changed.
Yeah, no, I think one of the, I guess for the just to kind of give a format of the timeline or how we were going to split it is very similar to events in the past. There's going to be an update from obviously from DSATS. There's going to be an update from ART. And then what I'm asking all the panelists to do is basically it's a 10 to 15 minute short presentation on one of the following two things. One is it's very different when you have, one or two automation jobs versus when you're doing it on a large scale. So if you have like, a campaign where you have 10 or, say 10 rigs or that have been running for a year, that's a very different scenario. So some of the panelists that I've asked to be a part of it have been doing ongoing automation and what that continuous improvement cycle looks like, and kind of giving a brief update of that. The second topic is people that just started deploying automation this last year. So think about all the struggles that occur when you're rolling out a new piece of technology. So the panelists have experience in either one of those areas. And so what I'm asking them to do is, present on kind of a little bit about themselves so the audience knows, who these are, people that are intimately involved with this, a little bit about what they did in, 2023. And then in the Q&A part of so we'll have a coffee break, and then in the Q&A part of the panel,
I think
that's where I want to bring up.
You and I have talked about it, and my mindset when we were at the first rig 6 months ago versus now is very different, right? So I think is a lot for people to hear and take in and consume and comment on. Okay, good. Sorry.
And that's why I want so the guy Ian from Exxon, like I said, they've been now, this is like year 4 for them, right? And they've only continued to add things to their remote center and in the completion space. Right. And so I think that would be a very interesting perspective of like, once you get past all the hurdles of initial deployment, which there always are, this is where you can get to. So
it's a very good lens on the challenge for DSATS as well, in that you're trying to support people who haven't done it yet, people who are just beginning to do it, and people who've been doing it for a while. Yeah. And the needs are very different, right? Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to achieve. And like I said, and if the person from Conoco, for those of you that they've been running the automation for HMP for, I don't know, since 2019-ish. And, they've done, demand, and they've done a lot of really cool stuff as well. So either one of those would be great. And if we get both of them, even better. So. Yeah. Okay, so sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Austin, go ahead.
And I have shameless, one other request. So the one is the posting on LinkedIn. I think that will help. You probably saw an email that came out yesterday that to the DSATS membership. We'll probably send one more out. I'm guessing like maybe 2 weeks before the event.
Yeah.
The last thing is sponsorships. I could use some help with, y'all that have relationships within your organization to ask your companies to do something. I've talked to neighbors. It turns out, I guess we're not actually doing much at the event this year, so I haven't heard back from them. But any help you could do from a funding and
Yeah.
sponsorship would be helpful. There's as you all know, it's more complicated to do it via the website.
The
If you're
SPE
just-
website.
The SPE website, it's, they don't make it simple, but thankfully we have that space on our own website where, some funding could be done there. Fred, you raised your hand?
Are we going to allow people to sign up at the event or only ahead of the event?
Well, I guess I was operating under the assumption that we had to do it before the event. You can buy a ticket just for the event. Like you don't have to buy a full conference ticket to go.
Right.
So I suppose they could probably actually just do it there online. I don't know if we have a mechanism to take
Fred,
card
I
on
think
location.
for the rest of the drilling conference, if I'm not mistaken, they don't accept registrations on site. I may be wrong here, but I have that impression. And if that's the case, then the same will apply for the symposium. In other words,
We could do as long as the money's going to DSATS and not to SPE, we could do a registration page on the website specifically just for the symposium where people can, submit their $40 on the spot and we can track it and then they come. We could.
I think, Maury, that'll get complex because you'll have two systems.
exactly.
The thing, you can pay on site for the drilling conference. So if Austin talks to SPE, it may be possible to pay on site. We used to get people.
I know previously we just had somebody sat at the door from SPE and done it, or we've sent them down to the desk and they've done it there, right?
Yeah, so I think it's possible.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk to Stacy and Greg about it. So I'll ask and then I can reply back to this email thread.
Yeah, we used to
Austin,
get.
this is Greg. I can check with Darcy, our registration person, and just double check that. But I do believe that you can pay, like, if somebody walked up to the registration desk and said, I want to buy a ticket, they can. But I'll double check and I'll let you know, Austin.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Greg. I didn't know you're on the call. Cool. Thank you.
This is John.
Yeah,
I definitely send them down to the registration desk. We've tried it at the door before and it becomes a mess. So.
Oh, yeah, that was horrible.
Yeah.
The thing is, in Europe, we get a lot of walk-ups because people are flying overnight, coming in and looking for something to do. In the States, I don't think we've seen a lot of walk-ups. So and also for Austin doing his budgeting, it's better to get the numbers up ahead of time so you know what you're catering for.
Yeah. When we've had.
Hey, Demetrius, on your thing, you said 1300 for the start. It's actually published as 1330. And the end of the session is published at 1630. So it's different to the number you had up there.
Yeah, I mean, 1 o'clock is usually normally when we start.
No, but on the website and the stuff that Austin's put out, it says 1:30.
Yes, we have
And
to fix that.
registration opens at 1. And
Look at this, guys, here. Look at this. This is the drilling conference website, I'm looking right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, the other thing, Austin, I think would be really useful. When I put it on LinkedIn, I used the blurb that's out there and didn't really make anything up. I mentioned about a panel of good speakers. But I think what's really valuable is to get the title out there so people know what the session's about and to get names. And even if you're planning on 5 and you've only got 2 or 3 names, getting them up there and published, I think really helps people understand what it is and that it's worth paying money to sign up for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I hadn't put the speakers' names because as you know, I've had some of these cancellations, so I didn't want to put them up. Yeah, but I understand your point. So if everybody thinks it's better, I mean, I'm not trying to, make independent decisions to start posting who's attending for sure and say more coming, then I'm happy to do that. We should do that.
I suggest
Austin,
you do it because people, if they know Maury's there and someone else, 2 out of the 5, and there's other ones to be announced, I think that's good because then they start to get an idea of what it is, plus the title of the session.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's okay to put 2 names, Austin, and then add more later, rather than have nothing until we're finalized.
Okay.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah,
This is
the other
Greg.
thing you mentioned
So-
about the reception and sponsorship, I was just wondering, how does the budget look?
Yeah, so we've got about $2,000 left over from the AV that we had for the one in October. It's 2,000 something. As you know, we piggyback off of the AV setup that they're doing for the drilling conference. So we get it at a discount versus if we were setting up our own ballroom. They don't have the final numbers, although they anticipate it to be more expensive than it was in the past. So a good ballpark number is about $4,000, $4,500 for the AV.
But we should have 5,000 for 2024 as well.
That wasn't brought up to me when I was talking to Stacy. So I didn't know that I could count on that.
I'd
I
check
think
with
that's the one we can
Greg,
count on.
because
Austin,
historically-
So Greg,
yeah.
so everybody, so yeah, the 5,000 for 2024, that doesn't start until April. Because the fiscal year, yeah, unfortunately, the SPE fiscal year goes from April to March. So March, the drilling still falls within this year. So, and I believe it was $2,840 you still have on your AV allowance. So it's almost $3,000.
Okay.
I guess so. So John, I guess to answer your question, one of the main reasons that we're not ordering quantities until the week before the event is to try to right size, how much how much food, coffee, et cetera, we're ordering so that we're not ahead or behind on the budget. I think if you get the 100 attendees, which is about the average, that's 6,500, and you take the 2,800 from what we had left over, you're looking at like 9,000. Half of that would be going to the AV, right? And so the other half we'd have to make the food within that dollar amount if we get no sponsors. And that would be a break-even event, which is obviously not what we're shooting for. But that's basically where we're at. If we got, one sponsor of $1,000 or 2 sponsors of $1,000, that would pretty much all but guarantee that it's not a negative cash flow.
Yeah, I think one thing to do, of course, is the tickets for the drinks, which John Clegg introduced, and I think that's been very successful because
we're doing that.
Okay, great. The other thing I think is there should be no issue if the budget's too tight to drop the food. We had a session that John organized once and it was tight, and he just had a guacamole bowl and chips, and that was it. So I think dropping food, we don't have to feed everybody. So I think that's an avenue to tighten the funds up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I agree. I mean, that's why. So a couple of weeks ago, we had to submit, if we potentially wanted the same type of things, which, we did. We said, okay, yeah, if we're going to do it, these are the types of, the empanadas or the things that we've historically done. But quantities, like I said, don't have to be submitted until the week before. So there's a call we're having like on the 26th with Greg and Stacy, so I can get the the numbers, and based off of, what we have, we'll make that, decision. So.
Okay, cool.
If I may add a comment here. So Edgar updated the DSATS website, and now we have the option there to accept sponsorships directly for the symposium at the same level as past years, 1,000, 1,500, and 2,500. And those are very straightforward, very easy. You don't need to be registered or exhibitor or anything. Anybody can go and make a donation over there. So I have received a few inquiries from different companies how to sponsor, how to make payments. So I'm hopeful that we're going to get at least 2 or 3 of those bronze sponsorships. And I sent an email out to everybody here on this call with a link. So feel free to circulate that link, distribute it around as you see fit, and kindly ask for support. It's not a lot of money, and it goes a long way making the event successful. That's it, really. Fred?
We don't have any platinum sponsors this year for Drillbotics, but we've got some flags that we could put out if you want to give that as an incentive. Advertise some of the DSATS sponsors with flags instead of the Drillbotics sponsors.
And actually, so thank you, Fred. But yesterday, in the call that we had with Rodica on the VNV call, Michael Edwards was there, and she offered if we need any financial help from the data analytics group. In that case, they can put their logo, they can become participant to this event, and she can try to bring in some sponsorships. She seemed pretty confident that they can afford. So we didn't commit to anything. I think it's a little bit late at this point to change, the ownership of the event or who sponsors the event, what technical sections. Always it has been DSATS, ART. But I mean, that door is open if need be. I don't think it's going to be necessary, though. That's for everybody's information.
Hey, Austin, just a quick question. Is ART participating much?
Little, but yes.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions about the event, guys, or suggestions or ideas? I think that covers pretty much where it stands. We are on the final stretch. We just need to bring in some sponsorships, and typically, half of the participants registered the last 2 weeks, the last week before the event. So if we have 45 now, I think we're in good shape to hit the 100 that we need. That's the pattern that we have seen. But any advertisement, like Austin said, through LinkedIn, etc., it's helpful. All right. Anything else from anybody? All right. So let's go to the last slide then. So these are the conclusions. I changed them slightly compared to the last one. The membership, like we saw, seems going in the right direction. We need to do something about engagement. I'm not sure what it is, but engagement is thinning out, and we need to get more people on board, participate in the calls, in the activities, in the events, judges, etc. The rest of it is pretty much the same. I think we need to reach out to colleagues and outside the typical disciplines, try to bring in new ideas. I think John McPherson reaching out to DOE and trying to look at the option of geothermal for Drillbotics, for example, that's an excellent idea. It's an example, The next, other than the SPE Live on the 21st and the symposium on the 4th, the next community call is on the 14th, March 14th. And the next day, the 15th, if you remember, is the webinar with Matt Forso. So we have like 3-4 events coming up in the next month. Some good activity. Just need to keep it up for the rest of the year. So that's all I had really for today. Thank you all for the time, for participating, etc. I think we can close it here. If there are any ideas, suggestions, comments, feel free to reach out by email to me or Austin for the event, etc.
Yeah,
Right.
Demetrius, just a
Yes.
comment that I have, and I think it's very serious, is your number 2 point, the member engagement, still not where we need it to be. I think we've lost engagement. And if we can't turn that around, we may be in trouble.
Yes, I agree, John. I agree, and I'm not sure what we need to do. The activities, the programs, get companies to encourage their people. I'm not sure really what is if there is a single solution to that, you know. But I agree with you. We need to get people participating. Typically,
I think on the DWIS side, this is John, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
We really need to push awareness that we've done one demo and that there's another very complex multiplayer demo coming up in October. And that will raise interest, at least within the technical community. Yeah.
It's what I find interesting is that the work that has been done in the past, the last, let's say, I don't know, 2-3 years, has resulted now in some momentum where ADCS vendors are finally open to discuss and engage, etc. And we see, you know, the weakening of the participation on our side. I think that's a shame. That's a pity, you know.
It's people get burnt out.
Yeah.
We're working this in the night, so we're not working all of this stuff during the daytime. But I think technically we're in a good state. But yeah, there's this little bit of divide coming in there. John DeWart is quite right. We need to somehow bridge this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we cannot force volunteers to participate. You know, we just need
to. It's a sign of the fact that we're having trouble funding robotics. We're having trouble funding the symposium in March. That really reflects that the members, the current members, are probably not going out to their internal organizations saying, "Hey, we need to sponsor this and get some money on there." I mean, as Murray or somebody pointed out, I don't know who it was, there's tons of money out there. It's not like everybody's starving
Fred.
at the moment.
It was Fred, and he's right. Yeah.
Fred, yeah.
All right. On that happy note, I think we can close the call here, and we all have some salesman's job to do here, you know. Thank you very much again, guys. Appreciate it. And girls.
Thanks,
Bye.
Demetrius.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Keith.
Thank you, Dimitri.
Thank you. Bye.